Oh, how is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down Podcast. I am your host, Chris, and today I am going to be previewing the game between the Los Angeles Rams and the Chicago Bears tomorrow night, 7:20 p.m., Sunday Night Football in Chicago at Soldier Field. I have a lot on the docket for you guys today. I'm going to be talking about most everything when it comes to this game, and at the end of this episode, I'm going to make my prediction, so you can stick around if you would like to hear that. I would like to say if you do like Bears content and you want more of it, do us a favor, smash a like on this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. You can find all of our social medias down in the description. We are on top of all Bears news, basically everything Bears. So if you do enjoy that, please do us a favor, subscribe, and join the family. So let's get right into it. I put out most 3 key matchups yesterday. I'm going to put a link for that video in the description or a little pop tag for it. If you didn't watch that and you would like to watch that, I talked about 3 key factors. My first segment is going to be the most important of those matchups, of those 3 key matchups that I put up yesterday. I'm going to go with Trubisky versus this Rams secondary. I spoke about it in yesterday's video. You can go dig for that if you would like to see my bit more in-depth analysis on that. I just said it was going to be really important, especially with Trubisky coming back this game. Obviously, there's a lot on his shoulders. If the Bears win this game, this will be the biggest statement win of the year. This will be similar to the Dallas Cowboys win over the Saints, a team with a good defense and I would say a little bit of a struggling offense, beating one of the best teams in the league. We can prove that we are capable of sticking with these teams throughout the playoffs and throughout the years to come. We are capable of sticking with these teams. So my matchup is going to be Trubisky versus the secondary of the Chiefs, or excuse me, the Rams. I was thinking Chiefs because of Marcus Peters. I spoke about Marcus Peters yesterday. He has been struggling the entire season. Aqib Talib, 2 weeks back off an injury. Trubisky, you would obviously expect some rust from him. He's got to keep the ball in his hands this game. No turning it over, no bad passes, hopefully no fumbles. Obviously, we know they have Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald coming up the middle, as well as Dante Fowler on the outside. But Trubisky's got to use his feet safely in this game and not force throws. But as far as my matchup goes, man, it's going to be really important for him to get the ball to his playmakers at this game. We spoke about this. Peters has struggled against some pretty decent wide receivers. He's struggled against Emmanuel Sanders. He's struggled against Stephon Diggs. He's struggled against Tyler Lockett and Doug Baldwin. Allen Robinson is going to have to step up in this game and make some plays, just like he did in the game against Detroit. Obviously, in the game against Detroit, he was on the number 2 cornerback at home when Darius Slay was out. But this is going to be another game where he's going to have a big impact if the Bears are going to want to win this one. Also, Taylor Gabriel, we got the speedster on Aqib Talib. Aqib Talib's getting up there in age. Taylor Gabriel, it's going to have to be a big game for him. It seems like most games for Taylor Gabriel are hit or miss games. He either has like 100 receiving yards and a touchdown, or he has like 0 receptions for 0 yards. It's kind of crazy. It doesn't seem like there's really much of a middle for him, but he's had some pretty decent games this year, and I expect him to have a really big game this weekend. And finally, our third wide receiver that I want to talk about, with Trubisky getting the ball to him this week, is going to be Anthony Miller. It's going to be huge. He's not going to have one of these premier corners on him. He's not going to have one of these elite name corners covering him this weekend. Anthony Miller, obviously, threat in the red zone. He has speed. I wouldn't call it elite speed, but he's got speed where the defenders definitely are going to have to put him in check and respect him. He's got to get open for his man Trubisky today. And finally, Trey Burton, man, this is another huge game for him. He wasn't too great in the game against Detroit. I don't really know if he did anything last week either. I know Shaheen caught a touchdown last week. So our tight ends in general are also going to have to exploit some matchup advantages that they're going to have with the Rams. Obviously, we know that they have that pretty good, I would say, front 4, not as much front 7. But if our tight ends are running and they got the linebackers on them in coverage, hopefully not the safeties, but if they have the linebackers on them in coverage, they're going to have to exploit those matchups as much as possible. So my most important matchup is going to be just Trubisky getting the ball to his playmakers and let them make plays. Tariq Cohen's also going to be a huge one in this game. So deciding factors is next. Geez, I'm out of breath. I'm going to take a sip of water quickly. But deciding factors is what's going to be next. I'm going to name one factor that I think would win the Bears this game, one factor that I think would lose the Bears this game. I'm going to start with lose. I think if the pass rush doesn't get there in this game, we are going to lose. Similar to Miami, I said this against Miami, and I also said this against Detroit when Chase Daniels started. We got to get pressure on their quarterback because we know Trubisky's coming back. He's going to be rusty. Trubisky is facing a very, very, very good defense this week. You really can't undermine this defense that the Rams have put together. Jared Goff, someone who's been able to perform all year, as well as my recording cut out there. It sometimes spontaneously does that. I was talking about Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and the importance that they have had in this Rams offense this year. Obviously, you also can mention guys such as Brandon Cooks, guys such as Robert Woods, guys such as Cooper Kupp before he got injured. But, man, when Gurley gets going, it's just impossible to stop. I wouldn't say that my losing factor would be the pass rush. I would just say the front seven, if they perform poorly in this game, that could really, really hurt us. Gurley, obviously, I mentioned in I think it was the Meet the Opponents video, Inside Enemy Territory. I mentioned that against the best defense that the Rams have played, which is the Denver Broncos in Denver on October 14th, it wasn't obviously as cold as Chicago. It's going to be a hostile environment the Rams are coming into this weekend. But Gurley still had 208 yards on that defense, and the Rams only put up 23 points. So whether or not the Rams are scoring points, Gurley can still be incredibly productive. And if we give them opportunities to score from Gurley pounding it down our throat and getting into the Bears' territory, that's going to be tough on us. So the front seven doing their job, also pressuring Goff. Obviously, they have some very talented receivers. I mentioned them, Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is a huge speed guy. It's going to be a tough test for Kyle Fuller this week. And then hopefully Bryce Callahan will be on Robert Woods. We'll see what Amaka Moore is doing this weekend. But just in general, forcing Jared Goff to make his throws quickly. Don't let him go through his progressions. And slowing down Todd Gurley. If we can't do that, we're losing this game. I can almost guarantee you that. For the Bears to win this game, I'm going to say if the Bears don't turn the ball over, they're going to have a pretty good shot in this game. You look at our other primetime games, we've had a little bit of trouble turning the ball over. Trubisky had 2 interceptions at the game against in the game against the Seahawks and 2 interceptions in the game against the Vikings. I'm not saying just because that's primetime, but primetime, obviously, there's a little bit more of an aspect put on the game. There's a little bit more motivation within the players. So it's going to be huge this game for Trubisky to hold onto the ball. We cannot give this talented LA offense chances to keep scoring and scoring and scoring because eventually I think we're going to fall behind too much. If this turns into a shootout, our defense is going to have to be dominant, and our offense is going to have to get the job done, protect Trubisky against guys like Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. And Trubisky's going to have to be confident. He can't really be gippy in the pocket this week. He's going to have to step up and be able to make his throws. If the Bears want to win this game, no turnovers is going to be a factor that could win the Bears this game. Next, we're going to head into Step On Up. This is where I'm going to pick one player on offense, one player on defense that I think needs to step up for the Bears this week. I'm going to start off on offense. I'm going to go with Allen Robinson. I spoke about him earlier. He's going to have a tough matchup with Marcus Peters this week, but everyone thinks that Allen Robinson is truly our wide receiver number 1. I definitely would say I believe that he's our wide receiver number 1. I mentioned earlier some receivers that have done well against Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib, guys like Stephon Diggs, guys like Emmanuel Sanders, guys like Tyler Lockett, and guys like Doug Baldwin, both for the Seahawks. Have been able to exploit these matchups, and Robinson getting open this week is going to be huge. Same goes for all of our receivers, but our number 1 receiver, that's Trubisky's favorite target. Trubisky has, I think, thrown maybe a little bit more to Taylor Gabriel. I'm not even sure. That might be completely wrong. But just in general, Robinson's going to have a good game. It can't really be a game where he's blanked. I know he does have a really good corner on him, but Marcus Peters has struggled. I would say he's digressed a little bit. And Robinson, it's going to be huge this game. If he can step up and make some big plays, we're going to gain a lot of yards and hopefully put ourselves into positions where we can score. So I'm going to say he's the one that's got to step up on offense. Number 2, my player on defense that needs to step up, it's an easy choice for me this week, Roquan Smith. He's been improving every week, the rookie out of Georgia. I really, really, really like him. His speed that we drafted him for, his ability to get to the sidelines and shut down the runners is going to have to be prevalent this week if we want a chance. I mentioned earlier, stopping Todd Gurley is going to be absolutely massive and gargantuan in this game. Holding him to a bad game for Todd Gurley is going to be massive this week. Roquan Smith is going to have to plug those gaps in the middle and get to the outside when the Rams run screens or when the Rams hand the ball to Gurley and he's pitching and he's going to the outside. So Roquan Smith is going to have to step up this week. He's got a really big assignment this week with Todd Gurley. So that's going to be absolutely massive for who needs to step up for the Bears this week. Finally, my prediction, man. I've been thinking about this whole week. I've been going forth and back in my mind. Back and forth in my mind, excuse me. This is a tough one to pick. I'm going to go 31-27 Bears. And I'll give you a little rationale as to why I think the Bears are going to win. Trubisky's got a massive chip on his shoulder right now. He wanted to play against the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. He wanted to play against the Giants last week. Nagy got a little bit conservative, I would say. Obviously, we lost the game against the Giants. I don't think we would have lost the game against the Giants had Trubisky played. Chase Daniel was practically awful in that game, I would have to say myself. I don't think Chase Daniel was good at all in that game. So it's going to be massive for Trubisky to play this week. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I think he knows that this is prime time. And if we win this game, we basically lock up, I would say probably lock up the NFC North if we can beat Green Bay next week. Minnesota's got a tough matchup this week against Seattle. In Seattle, the Seahawks have been playing incredible. But Trubisky's got a chip on his shoulder. And then another reason why I would pick the Bears to win this game is just the weather in general. I mean, obviously last week the Rams, they played the Lions. But they played the Lions indoors in a dome at Ford Field. That's so much different between the Bears practicing in this day after day after day. And if you're the Rams, you're coming up to Chicago, I think at 7 p.m. on tomorrow night on Sunday. It's going to be 18 degrees, man. That might make it a lot harder for them to move the ball. The Bears are a lot more used to this climate and this type of condition. So I think the Rams are going to be given a run for their money in this game, and I hope the Bears can actually come up on top in this one. So I'm going to pick them. I'm going to be confident in that pick. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we lost this game. The Rams are an incredible team, but I think the Bears are going to get the statement win that they need this week against the Rams. So that's pretty much going to do it for this episode, guys. I'm your host, Chris. You can follow my Bears fan page on Instagram at @ShyBearsNews. You can follow the podcast on social media, Twitter and Instagram at BearDown. If you did enjoy this episode, please make sure to smash a like on it and subscribe. Turn on post notifications to see all of our Bears content going back into Packers week next week. Man, Joe Philbin's their head coach. Oh, man, that's crazy. But, yeah, Mike McCarthy's gone. I still can't believe that. But you will see a post-game show after the game tomorrow night. That's going to come out late, though. That'll probably come out at, like, midnight. So you can watch that on Monday morning, I would say, probably our post-game show, unless you really want to stay up and watch us. But that'll pretty much do it. Hopefully the other co-hosts will be back for the next episode. That's pretty much going to do it for this one, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bear down, Chicago. Peace.